Hello there, this is Steve here in Sydney from the lay gnosis website truebluehealer.com. I've just got a kind of situational update to bring to you about trolls and things generally all over the internet and what's happened since Google Plus was introduced. There has been a die-off in troll behaviour just recently, and Bernie in the UK has hypothesised that perhaps sites that put out bait videos and put bait comments to take on the trolls, perhaps they've been blacklisted by the JREF people, the trolling community. That's possible. Likelihood, I'm not certain, because maybe I don't think you could coordinate that many people who are all a bunch of lunatics. However, I'm leaving that possibility open. But there's another possibility. It's taken a long time, but I think the powers that be have decided that the internet is really just a series of billion-dollar shopping malls. Hundreds of billions of dollars is made in advertising on the internet. Trolling basically reduces people's advertising revenue, as far as I can tell. It creates an unpleasant experience for visitors anywhere. Now, if you yourself were the manager, the CEO of a big shopping mall down the road, you notice straight away they have floor walkers and security people, police 2 minutes away, to get rid of all the unwanted, undesirable trash people that you just don't want in your glistening shopping mall. In your shopping mall, you do not want dead bodies, street buskers, prostitutes, drug users, animals. There's a whole lot of malcontented people, ranting, raving, mentally ill people on the internet that you don't want in your shopping mall down the street, which you normally never see. So I'm wondering whether big business has finally awakened to the fact that trolling reduces advertising revenue, and they're moving to reduce trolling. The worst part of trolling was YouTube, which was like the Wild West for all the sadistic trolls that frequented the net. YouTube was in fact a terrible, terrible cesspit. That's about all you can call it. However, now there's so much money being made by advertising around videos and that sort of thing. I'm wondering whether the powers that be are deliberately excluding the trolls, because it was recently noticed by somebody else, one called Pat Down, D-O-W-H-N. He pointed out that originally when Google Plus came out, you could only see your own comments, other people couldn't see them. I noticed this thing slide away, but it may have been put in place so it could be cut back to include only trolls. Since Google Plus, we've had a lot less trolling, and I'm wondering whether YouTube has moved silently and privately, which is their privilege to do with private ownership of everything. They don't need to be fair or democratic. They can just stop people coming in the door of YouTube and making acid, cruel comments like trolls always do, because their track record is there. Every line we type is kept by Google and the NSA, we are told. So it's very easy to assign a tag to people to say they can only see their own entries and nobody else can read them. Still make them think they're on the internet, but they're not really. That'd be one way of dealing with trolls en masse on the internet, and Google is perfectly placed to do such a thing. So far I've deliberately put out some videos with provocative titles, specifically vaccines and astrology, and no skeptics have bit. Normally they bite within a few hours. There used to be a bunch of skeptics dedicated to newly uploaded videos that had certain keywords in them, specifically vaccines. They work directly for Bill Gates, and they don't seem to be active anymore. I had a drama recently with one called Decent Dick MSA. I made a video about him. He was such a colourful example of a crazy sadistic troll. But the measures put in place by Google Plus include not just blocking but outright banning from a channel. That's option 4 when you move your mouse over an objectionable troll's comment. You can ban that person. No matter how many identities he's got, you just keep doing it. And then there's also the blacklisting feature, which means certain keywords mean that most trolls are typing directly into the trash can, okay? Now we could have had that years ago on YouTube, but for some reason it wasn't put in, and I don't know why it hasn't been used all over the world in chat lines to stop people writing cruel obscenities to everyone that they want to offend. These people certainly exist. They've recently been given a label by Canadian psychological researchers, and they talk about the dark triad of personality, the worst aspects of the human condition, which are psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism, which means basically lying at every utterance, which we have been saying for years about the troll community. They will do or say anything to cause you harm, you see. Well, finally, to that dark triad of the worst aspects of the human condition, human behaviours, they've now added sadism, okay? Simple, out-and-out sadism. The desire to enjoy the pain of other people, to inflict pain on others, and to even work hard, go out of your way to inflict pain on other people. It's been confirmed such tendencies exist in a small percentage of the population. I'm glad to see that trolls, who practice this daily on the internet, have finally been given an official certifying label like everything else gets these days. So it's a peer-reviewed study. It's beyond dispute. It's irrefutable as far as I'm concerned. With the years of evidence in my Pseudoskeptic channel alone, I must agree with the researchers wholeheartedly. Now, how important is trolling on the internet? Well, it's such a social menace that now the BBC makes documentaries about it. Can you believe that? So it's getting nearly as big as global warming and Richard Attenborough and evolution and all that stuff. Trolling is being brought to the fore in BBC documentaries. Now, how's that for elevating a social issue to the top of the billing? Quite surprising, isn't it? This business about delinquent people being excluded from shopping malls, which you've all seen. How often do you see lunatics from the local asylum in a local shopping mall? You don't. You don't see drug-using prostitutes, tattooed, criminal-looking men in shopping malls. Have you noticed? They're all kept out by those almost invisible floor walkers and security people, okay, who are constantly vigilant for such things. Now, big businesses realise that you lose money, advertising revenue, if you let such calibre of people into the giant shopping mall that is now the internet. So you can see it would make good business sense to raise advertising revenue to exclude them from commenting on the internet, and there's so many ways to do that, it's not funny. I'm surprised it wasn't done years ago. One thing I can add to this thing about juvenile delinquents is that a 30-year study in Australia recently concluded with a surprising result about juvenile delinquency, which is caused largely by hormones promoting psychopathic rebellious behaviours in teenagers, you see. And over 30 years they got some amazingly strong figures out of these statistics. What was discovered was so striking that it made the 6 o'clock news in Sydney, and they said that most of the juvenile delinquents over the last 30 years in Australia have been shy people. Okay, shy people. Not extroverts, all shy people, harbouring a dark side to their personality. And this is what the psychology team in Canada, I'll put the studies below here with the abstract and everything, that's what the psychology team in Canada concluded, that trolling has become a kind of culture of encouraged sadism, Wild West sadism done by anyone who pleases to be sadistic on innocent victims. There's some powerful statements made by the producers of this study. It has withstood peer review, so to me it's a dream come true. And I really can't emphasise this enough to trolls, that they've finally been well and truly studied, and it's because of the Wild West behaviour they drew everyone's attention. If they'd been more disciplined, they might have got away with it, but they were such a free-for-all, head-kicking everyone they met all over the internet, attacking religious people and the like, with, dare I say, gay abandon, pun intended, because they are part of the rebellious community, always telling me how we're all homophobic and that sort of thing. But the web seems to be changing now, and I'm also beginning to wonder sort of playfully, the trolls seem to have vanished. Maybe we're all dead and we're in heaven and we don't realise it yet. We haven't woken up to that. But now, I think now that it's commercialisation of the web has reached a certain level, I don't think trolls will ever be allowed to proliferate in large numbers ever again. Certainly they're all known by their track record, their history, and I'm very surprised that Chatlines didn't use the keyword blacklisting that Google has. It's so easy to do. It's part of the spell check when you make an entry. I made videos complaining about this times ago, a long time ago. It's so easy to stop trolls, but nobody did. It seems to have required an awakening in the consciousness, something coming into the mind of the elites that control money on a grand scale. I'll remind you that in hot countries, certainly Australia, on very, very hot days, Australians go to the shopping mall because it's wonderfully cold there, and they spend money in the shopping mall. So the shopping mall then is seen as a refuge, somewhere pleasant to go, sparkling, glistening, clean. And there's no unpleasant sights and sounds, no unpleasant messages in that wonderful shopping mall that you go to on the hottest day of the year. I think maybe they're trying to turn the internet into something like a shopping mall where you exclude all the unpleasantries, such as the sadistic trolls. I'm welcoming this transformation, even though it's at the cost of over-commercialisation of the internet, which is also a negative factor. Across the internet, newspapers are closing down their comment lines. They're going back to old-style news presentation of you get what you read and you don't get to reply anymore. Replying is seen as detrimental to the newspaper's reputation and sales. Now that papers are sold online, things have changed, you see. This is happening right round the Anglo world, I know. Huffington Post, a major online newspaper, has appointed no less than 40 moderators to weed out cruelty and sadism from the many commenters. And many newspapers are now moving to ban anonymous commenters, so that you've got to provide an email link back to yourself so they know who you are, to make it well and truly clear to everybody that you're not really anonymous and you never really were, and you won't be tolerated. So it's a wonderful social change in the internet. My only regret is that it took so long, but it seems that it's just one aspect of making money, refining the process of making money. It will ultimately exclude the trolls, including the James Randi Foundation. So I'm very glad to see that. That's all I've got for this now. The business about the 30-year study in Australia revealing that juvenile delinquents are all painfully shy people relates to the behaviour of trolls on the internet. They're the only people that use multiple sock accounts with unpronounceable names such as Decent Dick MSA and the like, and featureless, information-free, absolutely blank sock accounts, so they can operate by, like sort of in stealth mode, like submarines peering out through a periscope to launch the most successful attacks possible with the element of surprise, you see. So the shyness in them is extreme. I would say it's a pathological shyness, a type of autism. That the troll who was run down in the BBC documentary, he trolled a prominent radio personality for many, many months, bombarding his Facebook page with obscenities and all sorts of things. And because of his email address, an IT expert was able to find who he was, and they actually confronted him in the street with a camera. And the radio disc jockey, who had been kicked from pillar to post with obscenities for months and months and months, confronted the troll. The troll couldn't speak to him, was unwilling or unable to speak to him, was unable to join in any kind of conversation to justify heaping a sadistic abuse on this man for many, many months. That's the connection I draw between shyness in the 30-year study in juvenile delinquency and the BBC TV program and the behaviour of trolls on all over the internet in Facebook and YouTube. Okay? They lacked personal courage. Well, it's not really courage, it's just the ability to stand up and sort of present what you believe in and allow and enable and be happy with people who disagree with you. That's the one thing trolls can't stand. They hate disagreement. It's a serious immaturity in them. We notice this over and over again. So you have to keep an eye on those shy people, right? Those people who sit in the corner and don't talk to anybody, they might be the trolls on the internet with their dark fantasies and their dark tetrad of psychopathic behaviour. Okay, so start looking around for those people, alright? I can just tell you a couple of things now. Since Google Plus, things have changed, and I can explain to you now there's new procedures that are invisible to you unless you are an uploader. If you're an ordinary person making comments, such as Chris and Bernie are complaining about quite a bit, and some other people complaining very vociferously, it goes like this. The uploader has a different screen view to everybody else, and you get a blue bar across the screen saying you've got comments to look at. They've been put in the trash can for you automatically. Now, the problem is that perfectly good comments are going in the trash can, misidentified as spam by the stupid YouTube software. Google Plus spam detection is pretty poor, and it's over-functioning and overzealous and putting perfectly good, pleasant, useful comments in the trash can. I suppose the saving grace is that you can give them a tick or a cross to get them out of the trash can, then they magically appear. But this could be hours or days later when the uploader gets around to it, if he does at all. He can be lazy, absent or dead. Bear that in mind. He could have totally forgotten about the video, abandoned the account, just left it running. So, if it seems like your comments are being censored, it really means they're being misidentified as spam. So it's not so sinister as you first might think. Now, I'm very happy to see that the blacklisting word detector does work. Toilet language goes straight into the trash can. I don't have to look at it. And sometimes you think, why would I even bother looking in there? All I get is toilet language from sadistic skeptics, now certified as sadistic psychopaths by Canadian researchers. So why would I want to look at toilet language by even looking in the review can? Well, I still have to do it as the uploader because some people, quoting from distant parts of the world, are in fact Tamenga from Suriname, and I've given him, because he makes such useful, wise insightful comments, and often presents very supportive and useful information, I've given him a special rating on my channel. He can write anything he damn well pleases. It doesn't matter what it is, it's legal, it's okay, and always sticks, right? Well, guess what? Despite the fact that I've made that selection against his account, the man from Suriname ends up with most of his most of his entries going in the trash can. Okay? I don't know why. It seems to be overzealous spam detectors. but you might, and so does Angela. Angela Payne goes in there too a lot. I have to fish them both out from amongst all the trolls. So they haven't got spam detection down to a fine art yet. We might have to wait another 10 years or something. I don't know why the software isn't working, but computers have had software bugs since they began, haven't they? And I don't think they're ever going to be bug free. So don't read anything too sinister into that. A few people are complaining about this, in particular from the UK, Chris, Bernie, and some other people. The Google Nazi fellow that I like very much. He's the one that's been telling us. He makes some useful comments, and I'll put his icon up here, and I'll give you a link to him. If you just follow his travels around the internet and what he deduces, he makes some insightful observations. One of them being that, how do you get to the top of the comments list? Well, the answer is not the quality of your comment, the number of likes it gets. It's how many friends you've got on Google Plus that determines where you go in the rankings of the comments. That's just one thing that he's deduced by commenting all over the place and seeing what happens and revisiting where his comment finished up in the heap, where you see. So it's got nothing to do with quality of work. It's how many links you can provide to your friends and relatives that Google, YouTube is hunting for and praising you for linking up more and more people. So that's the over-commercialisation and the obsession with linking people. That's one of the bad aspects of the modern YouTube. But over-commercialisation is diminishing the impact of all these malcontents that you would never have in your shop if you had one. They're all gradually being pushed off the internet, and you can see a time when the blacklisting features will be well installed and working and tuned up so they work correctly in most chat lines as well as YouTube. YouTube is regarded as the cesspit standard of whatever happens, it's got to improve because it couldn't get any worse. And YouTube has improved a bit with Google Plus, but I very much do protest the bullying about true name usage, because there's a long list of reasons why you shouldn't be using your true name on the World Wide Web. I've given a few in one video. I'm damn sure that you, as an ordinary person, could relate reasons why you don't want everyone in the world to know precisely who and what and where you are, for a lot of reasons. So having said that, I'll finish up now, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please try commenting and see how... I don't know what the formula is for spam recognition. I think it's just too aggressive. It's got to be toned back a bit. Anyway, so I'll let you go now. Over and out. Steve from Sydney.